Welcome to our lesson where we will explain the Soft PLC topic in Wise SCADA. I added a new ladder editor, Fulmatic Soft, to the screen with new under the Soft PLC heading. I will write a small code very quickly. I wrote a code that continuously makes the Q0.0 variable true-false with a 1 Hz variable. Now at this stage, we have not yet loaded the code we wrote into the Soft PLC while in the development environment. We need to run the Soft PLC to be able to load it. For this, I am starting the runtime. Runtime has started. I can now connect to the Soft PLC. When we connect, we see that the PLC is in stop and the OB3 block is marked with red color. Meaning this tells us that the code on the screen is different from the code in the PLC. I can load it directly from here and put the PLC into run mode. Now we see the operation of this block here. Let's disconnect and close the runtime. Now when we run the runtime again, since there is PLC code inside, it will start in the run position. Let's connect again. As you can see, the last code we wrote is in the PLC and running. Our goal in this lesson is to explain how Soft PLC is used within SCADA. Otherwise, if we attempt to explain Fulmatic Soft and the ladder editor, this topic will go to a completely different place. Let me immediately explain why there is a Soft PLC inside SCADA and what use it is to us. You can easily perform calculation tasks inside the Soft PLC with the ladder editor. Also, you can control many of its features just like a full PLC. For example, we can go online with the running PLC from the hardware section and monitor the variables inside the PLC and the status of the PLC from here. I will even add a remote I/O CPU by adding Fulmatic remote I/O modules. And we can add input-output cards directly here. These cards we added will work over remote I/O. Our computer will communicate with this remote I/O CPU via Ethernet line and control the I/O modules defined under it. Let's delete this for now, because it will give an error since there is no remote I/O. Now let's try to explain how SCADA variables will communicate with the variables inside the PLC code. This time I define an address named input 0.0 here. Let me add an increment command from mathematical commands. The MD0 variable will increase by 1 when this runs. I define 3 variables in this PLC code: input 0.0, output 0.0, and MD0. Now when I click on the Soft PLC heading, inside tag Synchronization, I selected tag 1 from our tags with new. I selected input 0.0, which I just defined, from the PLC tags. I selected a second Boolean tag. And this time I selected Q0.0 inside the PLC. Thirdly, I selected our 32-bit tag and paired it with MD0 inside the PLC. Now these tags are ready to work synchronously with each other. I am starting the runtime. Now I need to load this new PLC code I wrote into the PLC. I loaded it into the PLC by clicking OK. Let's open the runtime. Let me do this in our code. When I make the first tag true, we also follow it from the PLC code. And we see that the value of this variable also increases. We can also change the variable value by entering 0 from here. Just as we can define, synchronize, and use tags synchronously in this way, we can access these tags in another way as well. I deleted the synchronization structure here. Let's add a new network here, Fulmatic TCP. Let's enter the address as 127.0.0.1. We can directly write the addresses we created in the PLC code here. As input 0.0, output 0.0, and MD0. I am starting the runtime again now. From here, I also went online with the running PLC. When I make input 0.0 true in the right column, you can see that the other variables also change. I explained that the running Soft PLC can be accessed in two different ways. One is within the tag synchronization structure, the other is in a completely independent way. Here I created a new network and connected via local IP. You can also use the Soft PLC feature to communicate with your other applications. You can also receive the data of this running SCADA with other applications that access the Soft PLC. There are many commands inside Soft PLC. There are mathematical operations, bit logic operations, and communication operations. You can connect to other automation devices within Soft PLC. For example, you can read data from Modbus with the Modbus RTU code. It can also use the serial port on your computer. It can also use Ethernet lines. You can send data via TCP with the send command. You can find explanations regarding these on the help pages of Fulmatic Soft. Thank you for watching our lesson where Soft PLC was explained.